Welcome back to Dad's Garage Podcast. Today we're going to be doing a Q&A type thing. It's just me today. Tomorrow we're live streaming Justin Janez's fight. I think his fight starts about 7 or 8, but we're going to watch everybody under him too, and I think that's like 2 or 3 fights. I'm not quite sure. I haven't done enough research, I guess. I don't know what to call it. But anyways, we're going to do this little Q&A. Questions I did an Instagram poll thing, and these are just some of the questions I got. So one of them is, what did you do before the podcast? A few of you guys know and might have even came from my other channel where I played video games, and I streamed mainly, but I played a lot of competitive video games and did quite a few tournaments before this. And I ran a team, and I was on a team that ended up pretty big and stuff like that. And it's just all around, I was really involved in the gaming community, and I still am. I play a little bit of Valorant, and I don't play Valorant like I played Fortnite, I guess, because Fortnite's the game that I got most of my winnings off of and stuff like that. What would you order for your last meal? What an odd question. I totally want to pull that one out in the next podcast, next person I interview. I'm like, what's your last meal? I'm going with, you mean like for death sentenced people or whatever? I'd probably eat like a pit or something like that. I'd just swallow a pit because it seems pretty savage. What's your favorite TV show / YouTube video? So I'm going with, you mean series, because show. My favorite TV show is probably Rick and Morty or The Rookie or something like that. One of those reality TV shows or anime type deals. I don't even know, cartoons. YouTube series is, so channel, I would say Watcher. And then my favorite series is BuzzFeed Unsolved because Ryan and Shane are hilarious. Why is Dad's Garage the name for the channel? All right. If you guys follow my Instagram page, I did a little segment about this in my Instagram story, but I originally was going to start a podcast and put everything in my dad's garage. And I originally didn't have a name for it then, and I was still trying to come up with it. And I saw Mom's Basement, which, Keemstar and Banks, or I don't even remember. I think that's who it is. But I enjoyed, I don't necessarily watch that one, but I enjoy the name. I think it's funny, and it's funny, I guess. I don't really know. And I was like, Mom's Garage, Mom's Basement, Dad's Garage. You know what I mean? So I just kind of put it together and just went off of that one. And I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. With my Instagram, once again, I posted merch that I sent to Justin Janez, and it's kind of like a shirt, kind of like this. It's a little bit of a lighter gray, and it just has my logo on it, and it looks like a work shirt. And that plays into Dad's Garage because you can't wear your nice clothes in the garage you're working. Who's your favorite guest? So my favorite guest, I definitely don't have a favorite guest. I'm not going to play favorites. I have a guest I really enjoyed, and I have a favorite episode where I think I performed well, and I think it was the one that kind of like boosted up my channel a little bit. That'd be Justin Janez. I definitely took a step between that episode and the ones following that, and public speaking and just talking and my podcasting skills, I guess. And before that, I don't think the podcasts were nearly as good. What's your budget? So for the shirts, I'm giving them away for free for donations is what it is. And that's just local community stuff like family members and all that. So it kind of just depends whenever, and any money I make, I basically put it right into. What's your biggest failure? I definitely don't have a biggest failure. I have a collection of failures, I guess. I really can't give you an answer for that one. How do you react to getting guests? Oh, this one I like. For Justin Janez, because I knew it was going to be a big step for the channel, and everything like that, I was jumping up and down. I was so excited. I was like, "Oh shoot, Justin James!" I was freaking out. I think I got the DM around 9 to 11, and my parents were asleep, and nobody was asleep once I got that got that DM back and everything like that. How, do you keep in contact with the guests? Most guests, yes. I keep in a there's a circle of guests, I guess you could say, and it's just a few of them. It's not very many, but it gets hard to send those text messages. I mean, like it's kind of one of those things that you don't really think about, but there's a few I stay in contact with, and have talked about pursuing something more than doing an episode on the podcast, like just outside of that, like business and stuff like that. Is there going to be merch? I just mentioned that there probably won't be merch till I have like 100 subs on YouTube, because I really just don't think I have the type of community to or big enough where building a website and stuff like that it's in the future. That's all I'll say. There's big things coming with stuff like that, and it's something I'll think about as I get a little bit bigger. What would you do with a bigger budget? This is a good one. I have to think about it. I would probably set up a area in my house where I could do a sit-down show with multiple people, and I'd buy higher quality microphones, like a Blue Yeti and everything like that. Foam padding. I mean, like just kind of stuff like that you don't really think about. And it kind of just depends on how big of the budget you're talking, but I would start flying out guests. That would be, Do you have a job? I mean, like not anymore. I had a summer job, but I'm just helping my mom with daycare for right now. Do you have trouble getting guests due to your age? Most times, no. I don't even bring up my age when I say, well, you can come on my podcast. I usually send the DMs or from my personal account, and I have like 1,000 followers. And for the guest I try to land, they look at that and they're like 1,000 followers, and they're like, all right, might as well do it. And at least that's what I've heard. And for emails, I think they're a little bit more surprised. But again, with the personal account, I like sending it from the personal account, because if they're really that interested, they can see, oh, he's 15, 16, whatever they think, and they won't necessarily be surprised by how I appear, I guess. And yeah, I think that's fairly important, just because I don't want them to be like, oh, you're 15 once they join and then not take me seriously. I definitely should be taken as, so when I invite you on the podcast, that there's a level of respect that I'm showing right there, just because you are somebody I think I can have a down to earth conversation with. And when you come back at me with like disrespect, like, oh, you're 15 or whatever, it's generally annoying. And I have a story about that. So there was this basketball player I wanted to talk to, and this was like episode 2 or something like that. There was not even an Instagram page for the podcast. And I sent him a message. I was like, hey, do you want to come on the podcast? I feel like it'd be awesome. You seem really chill, or something like that. It was just along those lines. And I get a voice message back, and it was something about how he'd have to talk to my dad. And then I think he wanted me to pay for him to come on. And he said he'd have to talk to his manager too. And one thing with the podcast is you never know how many views you're going to get on an episode. I can give you a rough estimate. It's going to be 50 to 70. Or, I mean, like, lowest I think I've had is like 15. I mean, like, that's not very many views right there. But on average, I think it's about 45 views is right where it's at. And that's a little bit of exposure. Most people, when they come on, they see like a 15 follower increase. And I mean, like, that's not a lot, but for people with 105 followers on their Instagram account, it's noticeable. And quite a few of my friends follow them and stuff like that. So that helps with my numbers, I guess. Getting sponsors is a lot harder. So yeah, make sure you guys subscribe so I can release merch, so I don't have to get a sponsor anymore. just, that sponsors is a whole nother struggle. That's all though for today. I mean, like, there's not another person here, so there's only so much I can talk about. I guess I could talk about Jake Paul or something like that. Jake Paul got raided, I guess. It's kind of funny. I mean, like, kind of sucks too. The thing with Jake Paul is people are like, oh, well, it's Jake Paul. You got to make an example out of him. And they're not raiding houses over looting. Even the people who are getting caught stealing from like $1,000 stores, he stole a bottle of wine and trespassed. All right, they're very clearly just trying to make an example out of him, and it's kind of pathetic in my opinion at the same time. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this. Make sure you like and subscribe, and maybe even share. Peace out.